Good morning. My name is Lisa Shapinski, and I've been attending Evangel since 1984. My first small group experience was in 1985. Growing up in a dysfunctional home with a stepfather who was an alcoholic, it really didn't give me the skills for developing relationships and having healthy friendships in my life. When he retired from the police force, he became the superintendent of our building that we lived in. And that's really when he started drinking heavy, and life kind of changed a lot for us. We found ourselves almost feeling like we were living in a secret society. No one was allowed to come in, and we could only leave if our father gave us permission to. We lived by 3 unwritten rules, and most of my life I lived by them. And those rules were: don't talk, don't trust, and don't feel. No one really knew what went on behind closed doors in our home, and we were warned that no one should ever find out. We were taught not to trust anyone, and we learned not to feel, because when we did, we were told that what we were feeling was stupid, and we shouldn't feel that way anyway. So it really caused me to shut down and make me feel like nobody cared, and that my feelings weren't important, or even that they mattered much. And that really set me on a rebellious path. And I remember that when I was at the age of about 15, saying to myself, no one's ever going to hurt me again. And I really shut down. And life after that was just lived behind a huge wall, a huge thick wall. I shut people out. I didn't know how to relate to people. No one really knew me. I had a lot of friends, but nobody ever really knew me. I had a hard time bringing people into my life. But then I was around 20 when something very painful happened in my life, and that really it was very difficult for me to bounce back. I went into further isolation. I was very depressed. I had such an overwhelming sense of loneliness and sadness that just seemed to follow me everywhere. And then through a series of events, I came to the Lord. When I was 22, I finally gave my life to Christ. And I was already coming to Community Gospel Church. A friend had referred me to that, and that was the name of our church before it was Evangel. And I was very skeptical. I walked through the door, and people were so friendly to me, just welcomed me, hugged me, shook my hand, just really welcomed me. And because of the not trusting my whole life, I didn't trust them. And I thought, this has to be fake. Something's wrong here. It was very difficult for me to think that this is normal for people. But I knew I needed something to change in my life, and I knew I was happy with what I was experiencing there. So I made a decision, and I decided to risk, and I decided to stay at Evangel, a Community Gospel Church at that time. And soon after that, I was helped by Jeanette Williams. If nobody has ever met Jeanette Williams, you've missed out meeting such a great lady. But she was very intentional in getting me connected in the church. And she introduced me to a few of the single leaders, and I got involved right away into a small group. And that small group really became my family. It was difficult in the beginning because I didn't trust people, but little by little, my group leader really became my best friend. She checked on me regularly. She would call me and just see how my week was going and if I was struggling with anything. She prayed for me when I felt weak in my faith. And the small group itself really came around me and was really a lifesaver, I guess you could say. I made close friendships over time. They were there and stuck by me in my ugly times, and they were there to celebrate in the good times. They held me accountable, and they always encouraged me on in my walk with the Lord. And I really found family. My own family really wasn't there for me. So to have this family was so, so precious and so important to me. And I'll thank God for that always. And I'm really convinced that I wouldn't be the person that I am today. And sometimes I even question if I'd even be here today had it not been for those friendships and that first small group in my life back then. We were created to be a part of a family, and God intended that from the very beginning. We're not meant to live this life alone. And I know that there's some in the church who struggle today, just as I did. And I really want to encourage you to take a risk and even join a group today.